Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Open Table Adventures. As always, I'm Dan the Baker, and I'm back today with Table Talks, our little interview series where we talk to some of my and hopefully your favorite TTRPG content creators from all across the internet. Today, I'm here with Gina. Gina, hi. How are you doing today?
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. Why don't we start off by you just telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Gina. You can find me on most social platforms at Oh Hey It's Gina with an underscore at the end. I make TTRPG content. I play a lot of TTRPGs. I am a freelance writer. I am an actor. I'm a very anxious being. I'm a number of things, and you can usually find me talking about one or more of those things on the internet.
So you are a wearer of many a hat, for sure.
I am.
Um,
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to start off if you want to just talk about how you got started in tabletop, how you got, like, what was your TTRPG journey like?
Yeah. Well, I will preface this by saying that I wish I had started playing a lot sooner than I actually did. I grew up as a kid. I was a huge fantasy nerd, theater nerd, but I never really knew anyone who played Dungeons and Dragons or who played, any sort of like TTRPG at that time. That's probably the only one I would have known about, but I didn't know anyone who was playing. So it took up until, doing like theater all throughout, school and things like that, musical theater, regular theater. But it wasn't until I started. My partner actually was a part of a game, a group of people who were playing Dungeons and Dragons before the pandemic, like a couple years before the pandemic, and he was really into it. But he's never been a theater person. He just really likes like the mechanics of the game, and he knew that I would love it, and so he invited me, and the group invited me to do a one shot with them, and I became obsessed with it. And I really just sort of went off the rails with it a little bit. They invited me to join their next campaign. And so I started playing right when the pandemic hit. I had already had a character built, and we were about to start in January of 2020. And then everything shut down. And so we were playing virtually. And then I started making TTRPG content on TikTok as a way to like meet more people and try and just be, a little bit more social and like make friends and things. And that's when I started sort of like just making random here or there content about stuff that I was doing in D&D at the time. And Alec the Bard actually invited me on to one of his actual play shows, never having seen me play, never, like, we'd chatted through the internet before, but, he really took a leap of faith on me. And that's how I started doing the, like, actual play, more visible on the internet D&D TTRPG playing, was through that. And I have not stopped. Can't be stopped.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future.
For
It's
the foreseeable future.
yeah.
And now I do like writing, freelance writing, and things like that too.
So I do think,
RPG.
yeah, I do think it is so funny, the difference of playing TTRPGs with someone who's a theater person versus a non-theater person. It is like, so the difference is huge,
Yeah.
and honestly, even within like a theater person who does improv versus a like more traditional, I guess, theater actor. It's all so
Yeah.
different how we approach the games.
So different. It's so different, and it's so different what the approach is, yes, but also the things that we really love about the game. Like, I know for me, I'm a very role play heavy player. Like, I will sit there and I will improv role play for hours and hours and hours. There's nothing about that is unappealing to me versus like combat, my least favorite. I'll do it, and sometimes it can be interesting and fun, and it's like part of the story. I get that it's part of the game, but that is not my appeal, or like trying to figure out the mechanics of things and how things work versus other people who are so into that. And I'm just like, I'm so glad that you love that. I can't. That's not what brings me to the game. But that's what's, I think, so great about seeing all these other people's approaches to character creation, to gameplay, to, the things that they look for in groups and in games.
Yeah. I do find the argument of like role play versus combat to me is so silly because my favorite thing is when you get role play moments in combat.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's so fun. Like it's like, oh, you're fighting this masked figure while you're like your swords cling against each other. You make eye contact and you recognize it's your mother's eyes, like that kind of thing. Like it's so fun.
Yeah,
Like that's a weird
yeah.
example, but
But it's like those moments are so I love moments like that. They can be so transformative to the story. And I think as long as you have a DM or a GM who is cool with you like ending those 6-second rules
Mhm.
when you're in
Yeah.
turns, absolutely. I've never played with anyone who's like that takes longer than 6 seconds, so that didn't
Hmm.
actually happen. Like, roll with it.
Yeah. If it was cool, it's, real
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
all the way. But so you're more of just a character driven player in general?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Hmm.
I have a very extensive character building procedure for
Hmm.
when I'm building my characters. I have long documents of lore, of memories. I build characters from memories outward,
Oh, fun.
instead of what I think some other people have done, or people that I know do, which is like some people will come to it and be like, I want to build a cleric, right? Or I want to play a
Hmm.
fighter. I'll take a memory, I'll develop a character based off of a memory I think that they might have, and then I'll extrapolate that memory, and then I'll find music that matches that, and then I'll build from there, and then I'll determine based on all of these experiences that this character may have had, what would they have been drawn to do, and I'll generally pick the class last.
Hmm. That's so interesting. Starting from a memory is so interesting. Kind of like, not even from the whole backstory, but just from like a moment in the backstory. And kind of like that's like
Yeah.
your little seed and letting it grow.
Yeah.
Is super cool. I approach character building like a blind man approaches traffic. Um, I just kind of hope for the
Just
best and move and one foot in front of the other. So
yeah. Just hope other people will help you along the way. Yep.
yeah,
We'll get
yeah.
there. Hopefully.
As long as I get to the end, the other side of the road, we're good. Yeah. That's when I get a chance to play a character because I am a hashtag forever DM, DMGM. Uh, so you've also, you talk about you do like freelance writing as well. I know you do some for like RPGs that are under NDA, so we won't go into deep about that. But do you do writing outside of that, like for fun, personal writing?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the things that really got me into playing these games in the first place was how much I love to write. I have an undergraduate in creative writing, and so when I first started creating characters, it was through creating, like I said, I built memories outward. I write vignettes for my characters. So I'll have like dreams or nightmares that my characters have. I have little snippets of like full out memories from their perspective or from third party omniscient or whatever, limited perspective, whatever. Like I have all of these and I build that out for each character. So when I have a document, it's a lot of it, at least maybe not necessarily in the beginning, but generally a good part of the way through. I have short story versions or like flash fiction sections that I keep for myself. And as I play, I also write fan fiction, I guess we would call it fan fiction, for all of our OCs in the campaign. So when we're doing downtime, right? If we have downtime in a game, or if there's, we sometimes when we have like long periods of time between sessions,
Hmm.
and we've ended at a particular spot, and we're not like directly in the middle of something or in combat or something. At least I love to, and I love when my fellow players like to do this too. Either in the Discord chat, we have like a fan fiction chat, like a channel in our server. We'll write collaborative scenes together. So we'll write from our like you're reading a novel, but it's each section is written by different people. I find that writing is one of the most effective things for me to get me in my character's headspace and to help keep me in character and developing like how things would affect them moving forward, how things in the past are affecting them now, right?
Yeah, it is very like theater character study of you to do that. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
like I have a very limited experience with like actually being on stage and like playing a character. But I've had directors like tell me to like not necessarily to like write it out, but to think of like how would your character react in scenarios that even aren't going to be on stage? Like, how are they going to be? Just like they're like levels of emotions and stuff like that, which is
Yeah.
bring that into
Absolutely.
TTRPGs is interesting. Yeah.
Well, and I find that that's so helpful in improv, right?
Hmm.
When you're in a scene or you are, as your character, you're trying to figure out how would this affect them or how would I respond to this if you have that if you've done that background work or at least some of the things that have already happened to them that maybe weren't happening on like in that scene or have happened just sort of privately for your own character, you have more to draw from of maybe they wouldn't be as excited about this thing that everybody else is because of these things that have happened in the past. Or
Hmm.
maybe they have these hidden motivations to react differently or to want to do something different with this information than maybe other people.
Yeah, for
So it
sure.
helps you to stay in that perspective.
Yeah. And so you said your undergrad degree is in creative writing, right?
Yeah.
What was your like I guess your focus in like your writing style focus for that, if you
Oh,
had one?
I love flash fiction. I don't have the attention span to do to do long form stuff to write a novel. As much as I would love to, I don't think I ever could, which is why again like these types of characters are so great because they can be so succinct. Um I love like horror and like scary fantasy. It doesn't necessarily have to be horror or like thrillers, more like psychological work. I did for my thesis, I did a collection of like pseudo Twilight Zone episodes.
Hmm.
So like each sort of connected to one another. I've long since lost that document. I'm so sad
Oh,
about it. I thought about going back and finding it. But I
that's
love
I've
anything that is spooky or,
hmm
darker.
that's I've lost all of the poetry that I wrote for my creative writing on minor when I was in college. So
Yeah.
it's like it's in an email somewhere that I no longer have access to.
Right. It's
Yeah, but that was my
floating
focus
around
was
the
in
internet.
poetry. Yeah, but we only had there was like two or three actual poetry classes, so most of my classes weren't in
Mhm.
poetry. And what I did for most of the fiction classes was I wrote horror because that was what I knew. Um,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like to read horror or watch horror movies?
I do. I love both yes
Hmm.
and all. Um, I I'm trying to think of like I started watching what's it called, Cabinet of Curiosities,
Hmm. Guillermo del
and
Toro, love it.
I've we've gotten 3 episodes in, and my partner's he's not as much of a fan. It's a little too spooky for him, so I now have to find time to watch the rest of it on my own.
Hmm.
Or I mean, he can watch it when he's distracted by something else. But I love watching scary shows, horror movies. I don't really like I don't know. There's some that are just like not slashers, not things like that, not things that are gory just for the sake of that, but more
Hmm.
psychological, more things like Midsummer, Hereditary, things like The Lighthouse, things like that are like the difference between horrifying and terrifying, right?
Hmm.
Horrifying is what you see, and terrifying is what you hope you don't see. I'm
Hmm.
much more into the terrifying than the horrifying.
Yeah. See, I do love slashers, but like not for the horror element. Like I just love them for kind of the more campy elements of them. Like I love
Oh,
Scream.
if it's
Yeah.
campy, I'm all for it. Like, right, like Cabin in the
Yeah.
Woods. That I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's just perfection.
That's Scream. The Scream franchise is my favorite of all time. But my favorite horror movie is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But honestly,
Oh yeah.
the thing is with like the original one, you don't really see that much. Like there is a bit more of that kind of that terrifying element going on. Um, and there's also like if you really dig deep into it, there's a lot of like socio-political elements to it of like how America was at the time and like
Mhm.
the deconstruction of the nuclear family unit. Like there's I could write a dissertation on it for sure.
I think you
Um,
should.
I might. Hold on, let me make a note. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been trying to get into reading horror more. I haven't like delved into that as much. I've read some Stephen King, but that's
Yeah.
about it. I've read
I'm
Pet
a big Stephen
Cemetery.
King fan. Oh, yeah. I love Stephen King. I loved what was the one that I read that I still think about that was it's not Stephen King. It's they made a movie about it. The Ruins.
Oh, I don't know if I know that one.
I really enjoyed it. But it's been a long time since I've read it, so maybe I might read it again and be like, but I still think about it, and I thought it was very effective the way that they did sort of the like combination of horror and terror. It's about a bunch of like young people who discover an ancient ruin.
Makes sense.
It's really, really good.
Cool.
My dog deciding this is the time now that he wants to play with his squeaky toy.
Of course. He's like, I also want to be interviewed.
He's excited. Like, I want to be in on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
His name is Harry. He's a very good boy.
Cute. Sorry, now I'm just thinking of dogs.
I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. That's my sister sent me a picture of her dog in a sweatshirt earlier, and that's all I'm thinking of.
That's correct. Yeah, that's right.
If I can find a picture, I'll send it to you. Sorry, hard reset on my brain. So yeah, you've done some like actual play streaming games as well. How do you find like the difference between that and your home games? Like, do you do the same level of preparation with your characters, or is it like deeper or less for your streamed games?
That's a great question. So I think the process is in some ways the same and in some ways different, right? So when I was prepping for Secrets of the Core, which is the actual play that I did with Alec Bard and a number of other incredible people, I took a very structured approach to it. I went through my whole system. I have so much lore. I have so many memories. I have nightmares. I have like 3 different playlists. I have all of that stuff that I ended up sending to Alec and some other folks, because that kind of like there are more people who need to know certain aspects of that than I think I typically share with other people in my home group. But also some of the people in my home group, I tend to just share with them because I'm really excited about the idea, and like they don't need to know, but they don't care because they're just excited about the character. And I tend to take a little bit more of a relaxed approach to prep. But I think with like in terms of playing an actual play versus playing in my home game, they're very different. Because when I'm playing for my home game, those are people who know me a lot. And not that these people that I play with online don't know me. I've become really good friends with a number of those people. But it's different when you are experimenting with things or you're trying things out in your home game, and these people have known you for years and they can tease you in a way that maybe people that you're playing online don't feel comfortable with yet or don't know you well enough yet. Like I feel more able to take risks when I'm playing with people that I'm not as familiar with, or I don't have that kind of like friendship with, that I'm not as comfortable taking with people. But you would think it would be the opposite, because you're like, these people know you and they support you and love you, and of course they do, and of course these other people do as well. Like I've formed such wonderful friendships with some of these people, but it feels a little different because like I'm sitting down to do theater when I'm playing in an actual play, and it's still the game and it's still improv, but it feels much more like I am an actor playing this role, as opposed to when I'm sitting down with my home game and we're just a bunch of friends playing.
It's more of a presentation almost, like you're presenting the story to the public. I feel like when you take risks also on a streamed game, it's, if it pays off, then like the payoff is great and it's, a great addition to the story. But if it falls flat, you have to keep moving no matter what. Whereas, at a home game, you have the chance to be like, wait, no, let's stop and think about that for a second. Let's dwell on that. That you can't do. Or like if
an accent doesn't work out, right? That you're trying an accent on in your home game. It doesn't matter if you decide not to use it. If you're like, I'm going to switch it up, or it falls flat or whatever. But if you're doing an AP and you start, which I'm starting a new one, for seasons 2 of Tales of Novum that I'm starting. I can't say too much about it, but we're starting to record it soon, and so I'm thinking about this accent that I'm going to be doing for this character, and I'm like, oh, I really hope that I can keep it up, because this is I'm committed to it for the whole recording of this campaign, as opposed to in a home game where you can just, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's me with as a GM with NPC names, because like if I do not write it down, gone forever. So like, with a home game, it might be this like random NPC that might come back again that I just didn't write their name down. It's like, I can't remember the name. They're Lisa now, But like
Yeah.
with this like
Yeah.
an actual player or stream game, like it was like, no, I need to remember this person's name because someone might like be like, actually that person's name is actually this, and I don't want that smoke.
Oh, that's
So
interesting, because before you said, yeah.
yeah.
But at least with the recorded game, you can go back into you can pull up the data and you
Yeah.
can watch it again. That's what makes me such a bad note taker in my home game, because I'm spoiled of being able to pull up raw footage from my games before in APs, and I don't have to remember everything the first time I hear it because I can go back and listen to it later. I can't do that in my
No.
home game.
Nope, you're just gonna rely on whatever you're able to come up with in the moment.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd also like to take a moment now to kind of pivot to talking about that you are you're a therapist. You work in like therapy, psychology stuff. I'd love to know. Speaking of taking notes, and yeah. I would love to know because I was talking with Sensationally.me about this a couple weeks ago, and how your thoughts on the whole meme of like, oh, like TTRPGs are my therapy, like that kind of stuff. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I say this as someone who, like, I actively talk about how I work through some of my own shit in these games. Like, I recognize that I have my own personal traumas that show up frequently in my characters and in the things that I'm working through, which you can see in Secrets of the Core. Oh boy, can you see my daddy issues and all sorts of other things that show up in that game. But when people say like TTRPGs are my therapy, there's always that part of me that's like, it's therapeutic. Yes, it's not therapy, because there are so many lines that can get blurred and boundaries that can be crossed if you approach the game with this intent of, these people are my therapists, or this game is my therapy, or I'm going to heal all my wounds by playing this game, because that's a dangerous game to play with yourself and with fellow players and your GM, because as much as this game can like help you to work through things and to become more aware of and explore parts of yourself, which is what makes this game so incredible, your friends and your GM are not trained therapists. And I say this, as someone who is a trained therapist, that's a lot of pressure to put on them, and it's a lot of risk that you take yourself in opening up those parts of yourself in that situation. That being said, you can have conversations, and you should have these conversations in a session 0. You should have these conversations with your fellow players and with your GM ahead of time, being like, hey, are we cool with like opening up some of these types of topics in our game? Are we willing to go there with each other, or do you feel okay with that? And doing that at the end of sessions too. Like, how are you feeling after that? Like, I did a scene. It's actually my it's my highest viewed. It's actually the highest viewed TikTok video for Novum in general. It's the scene between Yev, my character, and Tag, Nerdy's character, where they're talking about some really sensitive issues, and he's calling her out on something that really hadn't been addressed outwardly before. And we both checked in with each other afterward, being like, how are you? Are you okay? Because both of us were having emotions during that scene, which tends to happen sometimes. So making sure that there's not a lot of bleed, which can happen if you're not aware of what's happening and you're not like also caring for yourself outside of sessions.
That's why, safety tools and consent sheets and all that are like super important, and also shouldn't be left at session 0. Because I feel like that's kind of like, you send out the Google Doc or whatever, have people fill it out, and then you look at it and you file it away. It's like, no, you should be like looking at that, keeping it updated, asking them like, hey, is this still okay? Or like, hey, this might be coming up. You said it's a maybe, like, let's talk about it. And even I think
you don't know what's going to be activating for people, and sometimes until you're in it.
Yeah.
We had a situation like that in a game where I was running a Bluebeard's Bride mini campaign for my home group, which is an incredible game, by the way. And one of my players messaged me later, and we were talking about it, and he was like, I had no idea that was going to be a thing for me, but it turns out it was.
Mm-hmm.
And like these are things that you have to keep constant, and not like, incessant, but like continuous and reliable check-ins with your players.
Yeah, like even if it's just like a, send out like is there anything, that happened during the session that you need to talk about, check yes or no. Like if yes, can we elaborate? Let's talk about it. I think, to me, the best, safety tool is just open and honest communication between everyone at the table. Having the actual physical tools is amazing as well, but like if you don't have that open and honest conversation, the tools kind of have less of a effect, I feel like, for me personally.
If a tool is only as good as people's willingness and ability to use them.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
If people don't feel comfortable bringing something to you, a safety tool is not going to do anything. You have to enforce, and you have to be able to like provide an environment for your players to feel comfortable using them.
Yes, for sure. I'd also love to ask, have you found yourself with your training and therapy and stuff, have you found yourself kind of applying that to your own characters through this character making process?
Oh, you mean like giving my character what they need and caring for them? Or do you... Sometimes, yeah. I think, and again, it really... I feel like how do I want to say this? I am only as good as my fellow players, the characters that my character engages with. And I really, really value having a cast, having a team of people who are willing to go places with my character. So I would say, like, I do tend to build in a healthy amount of, I don't know if I would always say trauma. I'm trying to branch out a little bit with that, of not always making, I tend to main rogues, and so that tends to come with a little bit of a stereotype of
some issues coming.
Babies. Some issues, right? But like well-adjusted people don't always make adventurers generally. So, but I do think that having the background that I have and having the skills that I have at least gives me more of a tool to understand why my character makes certain choices, what they need in those moments. And sometimes, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, and I'm sure other people have as well, like if you are in character, like if you're in the zone, which I tend to get in sometimes to my detriment, you find yourself making decisions as your character that maybe surprise you, or having reactions to things that are surprising to you. And sometimes you don't give your character exactly what they need, or take them away from the things that maybe would be most helpful, because it feels like a more authentic choice. And I am always for making the authentic choice, with some exceptions, but for the most part, making the authentic choice for my character, which sometimes means that they don't know what they want, or they're not able to get it. Yeah.
I feel like, that there are definitely those times where I feel like I kind of black out for just a couple seconds. And I'm like, I was that character for a second, I kind of I astral projected into that character. But I think, having an underused thing in roleplay, I think, is the unknown, and kind of like that, almost like, you don't know how you're going to react to something until it comes up. You don't know how your character is going to feel about something until it comes up.
Yeah, you can watch live footage of me just full-on dissociating in one of our episodes, because multiple times throughout a couple episodes, because I'm in character, and I remember coming, not that I was completely unaware, but I remember the scene ending, and then us talking about it, the group talking about it afterward, and I'm like, I don't remember half of what I said in that scene. I don't remember any of it. Yeah. And having to look back and be like, oh yeah, no, I was in it.
Yeah, full autopilot.
Autopilot.
Yeah. One last question I have for you is, what is something in the TTRPG space that you have not had the chance to do yet that you want to do?
Oh, I have been wanting to play a Vampire the Masquerade campaign for so long. I want it so bad. And I'm learning how to play. I'm like reading through the system, like the books, the core books and stuff now. I am itching to play this game. So I would say that is like top of mind for me. Something else. Well, I was gonna. I'm debating saying something because it's gonna be spoilers for people who haven't seen Secrets. So I won't say that. But there have been things that. I'll say this. I want to play a character with a well-adjusted background, who is just like, she's just happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I started to play a character like that for a home game that we were doing, where we had this idea. Our DM had this idea, which I love, called the B Team, where on weeks that we couldn't all meet, we took on different characters who lived in the same, existed in the same universe, in the same realm, and would just like arrive shortly after our main campaign characters had left. So like they were there to clean up after things or to like deal with the aftermath of things, which was really fun. And I played a tiefling bard named Harmony, who was just like, just happy to be here. But we didn't really get to play very much. And so I would love to develop a character who's not an edgelord, who's not, you know, deeply wounded, who's just like trying to make it.
Mm-hmm. I have one of the characters in one of the games I run is like, they have like a happy, loving family, you know, that they're like they grew up with. Like they didn't have a mom, but like they had like a, you know, good family unit or whatever. And it's kind of a running joke that all the other players just kind of forget that, because like everyone else is like orphaned. Like it's literally, right. I think we have 4 orphans and then one person who's just like was like abandoned, like things like that. Like it's, and then this one who had a loving, happy family who's on just like a religious kind of like a Rumspringa, I think is what it's called, from the Amish, kind of like she's doing one of those. And it's very funny, just that dichotomy for sure.
It's so funny, actually. I'll say briefly, we're doing, we haven't been recording it because we're just doing it for fun, but I really, really want to record it because it's Sin and I and our friend Christian Carlson and Annie
too, right?
Cantor. Yeah. We're doing a little, well, we did like a 2-shot, and then we're also going to do another, probably end up being another 2-shot. And then we're hoping to do it as a little mini campaign. I don't know if the timing is going to work out because I have a lot of stuff going on. I'm also working towards my final licensure for like my job. So like all of this stuff is making timing a little bit difficult. But the dynamic that we have in that group is that Christian and I play twins, like very edgelord brother and sister twins.
Fun.
And then Sin is playing a Girl Scout cleric.
Nice.
And it's just like, you know, this character comes from a very well-adjusted background, you know, just out here trying to make friends, trying to earn badges. And the two of us are like, you have a what? You have your dad's loved you? Like, that's this very unusual. I love their dynamic, and it's just such a fun trope to play on.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much. But that brings us to the game portion of our interview.
Okay.
Today, right. I have a game for you I have made that is called 9th Level Spelling Bee.
Oh no, okay.
In D&D, there are several renowned wizards and spellcasters who have spells named after them. A lot of them have very weird names. I have 5 of these. I'm going to ask you first how to spell them, and for bonus, if you can name any of the spells that they are named after, or that are named after them. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. How confident are you on this scale 1 to 10?
Not super. As a rogue main, I don't use a whole lot of spells, but I think my very first character was a druid, which is very spell focused. Okay, I'm gonna say like 60% confident.
Okay. We'll take it. 6 out of 10.
Okay.
First one I have for you is Snillock. Or Snillock, I'm not sure.
Snillock?
Yes.
Is that...
Don't ask me like country of origin or anything like that
Yeah,
because I
can
have
you
no.
use it in a sentence? What's the etymology?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Snillock.
Which I
I'm
do
going to
have-
say it's probably not an S. I'm going to say maybe it's a C? Like C-Y... Snillock. C-Y-N-L-O-C-K? Probably very wrong.
Could you name a spell that's named after him?
No.
No.
I have no
Or them?
idea.
I'm not sure. Unfortunately, that is incorrect. It is
Yeah.
Snilloc.
Oh.
Snillock. Yeah.
Snillock. What's the spell?
It's Snillock's snowball swarm. You summon a bunch of
Snowball
snowballs,
swarm.
and
Man.
attack people with
Yeah.
them. Yeah. So you did not get that one, but number 2 we have Agathis.
Agathis, like Armor of Agathis? But that's the cantrip.
No, it's a spell. I think.
This okay, so A-G... Wait, I gotta write it out. I'm so
I know it's
bad at
hard.
spelling in my head.
I was a 5th grade spelling bee champ, so this is,
This does not surprise me at all. Okay, A-G-A-T-H-Y-S?
Yeah. And the Armor of Agathis is I think that's the only spell. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Good job.
Writing it helped.
I think that's helpful for sure.
Yeah.
So we did Snillock, Agathis. Number 3 is Nistel.
Nistel.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, I just realized there's 6, not 5. So
It's okay. Nistel. And...
these are also great baby names.
not
Anyone looking for?
It's probably not what I think it is. My instinct says it would be O-L. I was wrong before. N-Y-S-T-U-L.
That is correct. Yeah. And his spell is Nistel's Magic Aura.
Oh. I need to play more Wizards and Sorcerers because I don't know any of these spells. I knew Agathis.
Love playing spellcast. I recently did a high level campaign, like level 16, for all my players, and them getting to finally get to use like 7th level, 8th level spells was so fun. This next one is Autoluke or Odoluke.
Autoluke or Odoluke?
And also, if it makes you feel any better, the word that got me out of the spelling bee was lethargy. So, wasn't even a hard word.
Oh no! Okay, the way that you said that of Autoluke or Odoluke makes me think maybe it's an AU. No, it would probably be an O. Maybe it's simple. O-T-O-L-U-K?
So close. O-T-I-L-U-K-E.
I.
Yeah. Known for his resilient sphere or freezing sphere. He likes spheres, I guess.
Oh. I have heard of that spell, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever read it out loud in my
That's, yeah. I was like, that's when I was looking at this, I was like, I actually don't know how to pronounce a lot of these.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, up next is Agonazar.
Uh, okay. AGANAZZAR.
That is correct. That's it. I wasn't sure if you were going to get tripped up on that double Z or not, but
Double Z.
you got it.
It seems more fantasy to me. It seems more like it should be. It seems like it should be there.
Yeah, the one good thing is none of these have like weird apostrophes or dashes or anything.
Right.
The Agonazar is
So, like
known.
Elvish.
Yeah, it's known for Agonazar Scorcher, which was my nickname in high school. This last one, you probably have heard of him before. Is Mordenkainen.
I was wondering if that was gonna come in here.
That had to be the finale.
Okay. I actually think I know this. I'm gonna write it out anyway. I think it's MORDENKAINEN.
That is correct. Who is known for his faithful hound, his private sanctum, magnificent mansion, and sword. So many.
Sword.
Yeah, that is all of them. I think you missed two
Yeah,
of
what were the
them?
ones that I missed two?
Yeah, you missed Autoluke barely. You just barely missed Autoluke.
Yeah.
And Snillock.
Snillock. I've never heard of that one. So wait, is that 60%? No, what is that? 2 out of math is clearly not my strong suit.
It's a little over 60%. It's like 68%, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But you did good. You did for someone who doesn't main spellcasters. You did very good. But
now
thank you so much.
I need to brush up.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
Good. I'm glad you had fun.
That's how I'm gonna roll into my home game, which I'm doing after this. I'm gonna be like, all right, guys.
Yeah.
Spelling bee. Go.
Yeah. Whoever wins gets inspiration.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, here at the end of our interviews, I love to give our guests a chance to shine a spotlight on something happening in the TTRPG world that they want other people to be as excited about as they are. What do you have to shine a spotlight on for us?
Ooh, okay. So I have a couple things because I've been thinking about this from your previous interviews, seeing these shout outs. So I think the first one is because I'm doing a lot more like freelance stuff, I've really been like thinking a lot more about honing my own, like homebrew writing skills and like abilities to write things for RPGs. And Cinderblock Sally does a really awesome show on YouTube and Twitch too, where he reviews people's homebrews and does, I think, such a great job of encouraging people to write homebrew and offering really good criticism and like constructive criticism and feedback and creating this really nice community of people to support each other in writing homebrew for either their own home games or to like in hopes of maybe getting it published someday, right? Of like submitting things to, I don't know, like Unearthed Arcana or stuff like that. He right now only does D&D. I've been trying to get him to branch out into other RPGs too. We'll see if he listens to me. Okay. So I would say Cinder's
I'll bully him
homebrew.
From the other side. Well, yeah.
Good. He needs more of that. That's good. Another one is a new podcast that's come out called The Atlas Loom. It's with Diana of the Rose, if anyone knows her, and Endeavorance, and they do a really phenomenal, really like wonderfully casual breakdown of taking these more complex world building questions and breaking them down into like accessible steps for people and things to think of and ways to approach world building that doesn't feel as overwhelming or impossible as sometimes it feels for folks. So I think their podcast, their content is incredible. And then I think the third one that I would say is he's actually an artist, Toby, Toby.exe or Toby. I'm blanking on his last name, but you can find him by searching Toby.exe. He's an incredible artist. He's done a lot of. He actually just did a project for Novum, which I want to say what it is, but I don't know if I'm supposed to yet. They've been shown, but he's done incredible artwork, character art, animations, just beautiful stuff, and I'm so inspired by him. And I'm actually commissioning something from him for my own home game, which is I think fine for me to say because this isn't going to air until later. It's a surprise for my partner.
Yeah, this will be out
probably by the time that comes out. It'll be, or I'll just tell him he can't watch this until after.
Great. Thank you so much for shining a spotlight. All those people you should definitely check out. They'll be linked down below. And then lastly, what do you have going on that you can talk about that's not under an NDA?
But I can talk about. Yeah. I know. I feel like I have a broken record. All I can't talk about. I'm so important. I can't talk about it. Right now, you can see me in Secrets of the Core. So if you haven't watched that, it's a Tales of Novum story. It's only 10 episodes, so it's not super overwhelming. It's an incredible story. I know I'm biased, but I feel like it is something I'm so proud of that I've been able to be a part of. You can find that on YouTube. It's also on Spotify. You can also eventually see my published works, but not yet. And then in a little while, later on in the year, depending on when definitely later on in the year. I don't know, this won't air that far in the future. No. Eventually, you'll be able to see me in season 2, a new campaign for Tales of Novum. And then who knows, maybe a Vampire the Masquerade campaign one day. I'm putting it out into the universe.
Listen, if you need, I love vampires. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. We need to do a show together. I don't know why we haven't yet. Maybe we can at least start with a one-shot.
Figure it out. Yeah. What are all your socials from across the internet so people can find you?
Oh, hey, it's Gina. You can find me on, so it's oh, hey, it's Gina, all one word with an underscore at the end, on TikTok, on Instagram, reluctantly still on Twitter. And then I think that's really about it in terms of where I'm active. Although if some other social media things open up, and I've tried getting into Threads. I feel like maybe I should more because it's way better, ethically than Twitter. But that's where you can find me. Oh, hey, it's Gina is my standard.
Yeah, all of those also will be linked down below. Make sure you check out Gina. They're amazing at everything they do. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Gina. I've had so much fun talking with you, getting to know you a bit more.
So fun.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you had just as much fun as we did. Make sure you check out everything else we have here at Open Table Adventures, all of our actual plays, all of our other interviews. We have a lot of recipes coming out soon, and just so much more. Yes, I'm so excited for those. Those are, I think, the first couple have been out. Maybe.
I saw your gluten-free cinnamon roll. I'm gonna need to try that myself.
Oh yes, those are very good. That wasn't even for this project. That was just for myself.
Just in general, just personal.
Yes. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for joining. As always, I have been Dan the Baker. You can find me at Dan_the_Baker. This has been Open Table Adventures, and you are always welcome to pull up a seat. Bye bye.